Okay. All right. What did you think of that show?
Yeah, it was fun. I had a good
It
time.
was fun. I liked it as I'm going into transition into vacation mode. That felt like a vacation mode podcast. It was very light, I thought.
Yeah, yeah, I like it like that.
I
And
do
we
too.
covered some stuff, but I mean, it was fun. I think I enjoyed it. I thought it was a lot of
I
fun.
enjoyed it very much too.
Yeah.
So how much stuff did you? I had a lot of
Oh,
stuff. I didn't.
this is the one thing I wanted to show
Yeah.
here was hold on, let me share the screen here. Wait, can I share the
Oh
screen?
yeah, wait a minute. Let me and I should have done this at the beginning, but you are now
What the
available.
heck? Why is that? Huh. I can't get to my
Well,
buttons.
while you're looking for whatever, just this quick one. This was so much earlier in the week. This was like the day after our last podcast, so it's not fresh in my mind. But Merrick Garland,
Yeah, I was going to bring him up too.
really,
Yes.
he says he's committed to overseeing, in quotes, the prosecution of white supremacists, end quote, who stormed the Capitol. And here's his quote: "If confirmed, I will supervise the prosecution of white supremacists and others who stormed the Capitol on January 6th." So we just went from Trump supporters to white supremacists overnight. White supremacists, that's strong language, man.
Yeah, that's really strong language, and I can't believe that they're really seriously looking at Merrick Garland right now because of the things that I've seen that he's saying. I don't know if you've seen any of his confirmation hearings at all, but one of the things that he was being questioned on was if illegal border crossing should still be a crime. And I don't know, did you see that at all where he was talking about this?
No.
Oh my gosh. Well, I mean, let's see
See, and
here.
it's that kind of talk along with Biden is we're going to get a rush on the border like we've never seen before.
Let me just do something here. Am I still sharing my screen, or did I share my screen?
You did not.
Oh, okay, great. Let me do that.
Okay.
Share sound and share screen.
There we go.
Okay, so here, just take a look at this.
Talk a little bit more about the law enforcement challenges at the border, which I know a number of other members have brought up with you. Just a fundamental question. Do you believe that illegal entry at America's border should remain a crime?
Well, I haven't thought about that question. I just haven't thought about that question. I think
he hasn't thought about it.
The president has made clear that we are a country
loud, Merle.
with the borders and with the concern about national security. I don't know of a proposal to decriminalize, but still make it unlawful to.
Yeah, that was pretty loud. But honestly, I didn't know that we could share the sound.
Yeah, that was
cool.
loud though. But how do you not think about that?
He got caught. He just got caught with his pants down right there. He didn't know what to say.
Well, here's what I think is that's what he was told to say.
Yeah.
Because obviously you know that question was going to come, right? You got a huge border crisis that's brewing right now. You got all this stuff that's happening. Everybody's talking about it. There's no way you didn't think about it, because if you didn't think about it, what were you doing? Sleeping for the last 6 months? I don't. Right. I mean, and okay, so if you didn't think about it, how can you sit there and say that you want to be the attorney general? Because we need the attorney general to actually think about these things.
The most important issues facing the country.
So if you're not thinking about it, we're done. You're out of here, because you got to think about these things. So here's the thing. I saw this whole tactic happening by Biden coming into this is just don't say what you're going to do. And when you're asked, you say something, well, we're going to put a committee together to think about if we're going to pack the courts or not. Well, if I told you that answer, you'd make a decision based on that answer, and that would be unfair. Like, that's kind of a silly, I've never heard anybody say that. He's doing the same thing. Answer the question, I might not get confirmed. Don't answer the question. Somehow, magically, these people, it works. But I'm concerned about that, because if that's how you're going to play some of the most serious issues facing the United States, well, you could do that with everything. I hope. I mean, it seems like he's going to get confirmed, but why? Why would we confirm somebody that says something like that?
No idea. I don't know what to say to that. And especially, I don't know why this large faction of people are so, have done such an about face in the last 10 years on the border security.
They really have, haven't they?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we got videos of Obama talking about it's one of the most important, border security is one of the most important issues facing the country about 10 years ago, probably 12 years ago. And a complete about face. I mean, they live here too. I mean, if you just have open borders and have a surge coming across, that's going to devastate our economy.
Well, it's interesting, because the people that are actually saying this, like, for instance, well, any of these politicians that are saying this, you say they live here too, and they do, but they kind of live in a different world than you and I live in. I
but
mean,
they have friends and relatives. It's, come on, they got to have true concern for the country.
It seems to me that, and what I've been seeing is that these people have a way of being able to protect their friends and relatives.
Wow. Totally different. Did you hear this story about an entire California school board resigns after they were caught on Zoom, a Zoom meeting, mocking the parents of the students?
Yeah.
You saw that?
I did.
Oh,
it was really
funny,
terrible.
but in a really pathetic way.
Yeah, it's terrible what's going on right now with it's the school boards, really, that it's the school boards, it's the school unions, the teachers unions that are, it seems like they're screwing up the kids' lives, and they're totally against the parents. There seems to be such animosity towards parents and the parental interference. And you heard what these people were saying in that committee about the parents just wanting their babysitters, that they just want to stay home and get high.
Yeah,
it's just such disparaging things that they're saying about the parents. And I thought it was the right move to ask for the superintendent to ask those people to resign.
Absolutely. I mean, absolutely. But to your point, it shows you what a culture problem that system is creating.
Absolutely. And the other thing about that is it seems that this is becoming very, very common these days, that we're seeing this type of attitude towards the parents, and especially with this whole homeschool thing and wanting to get the kids back into the school. It's hard to understand why they're fighting so hard against bringing the kids back into school, when you hear the science that the CDC has come out with. I don't know. We're getting such conflicting messages about coronavirus and everything. Did you see Fauci came out this week and said that he could conceivably see us wearing masks through 2022?
No, I didn't see that. That guy's got to get off the media. He's got to get off stage.
Well, the thing is he's got a ton of power now in this new administration, and when he says that, he's got control over a lot of that. And we've got this vaccine out there, and
the new one with Johnson & Johnson. It's one shot.
They're totally taking away the psychological effect of the virus, of the antivirus, by coming out and saying, well, this isn't a get out of COVID free, and you're going to have to wear your mask still, and you could actually still give somebody COVID after you have this, and you could still get it after you have this. So then people are just like, well, then why get it? And we're seeing now where a third of the military declined it. Blacks and Hispanics especially don't want it. You've got people traditionally that they're not doing a very good job of promoting it by saying that these things that they're saying.
They're in a catch-22 because they don't want to let go of the fear.
That's it. That's exactly it.
But you're right. But it's a snake eating its tail, because they're also trying to promote the virus, and you just nailed it.
The vaccine. Well,
why?
Right.
The vaccine. Well, why get it if you're telling me I'm still in danger anyway?
Yeah. And also all the fears around vaccinations. Anyhow, you came out with a vaccination in less than a year. You've never done that before. We don't know what the long-term effects are of the vaccination. We don't know if we're going to have to take it over and over and over and over again. No one's telling us that. No one's telling us a lot of stuff on this. And at the same time, in the midst of a pandemic, you've got the Obama administration looking to bring in the Attorney General of California as their health and human services leader. And this guy, Xavier Becerra, he's an attorney. What does that guy know about coronavirus and how to handle health and human services? I mean, I don't understand that. You got Merrick Garland, who said what he said, and you're going to bring in this guy during the coronavirus. And I got to tell you, this guy is a complete activist. They're not upholding the laws here in California. That's what he's in charge of. And now he's going to be in charge of the coronavirus response from the federal government. That's a big red flag.
Well, I'm going on record as saying I will get that vaccine first chance I get.
Good. Well, somebody's got to do it.
Yeah.
I think there's what I'm seeing is a lot of people backing off of, the things that they said earlier about how things were going to go. And it's concerning. I'm concerned that back to normal may never be back to normal.
I'm concerned that they want it to be that way. Yeah, exactly.
They seem to be getting I don't know exactly what the advantage is. I mean, I can't pretend to know what the end game is, but there definitely seems to be something in the air here. I got one more thing I wanted to show you. Hang on just a second here. I'm on another page. Okay. So sharing screen. This time I'm going to go without sound, but this I thought was interesting is these two articles from the Washington Post and showing the actual same picture and what is it, about a year and a half apart. It's the exact same facility. So the one that this is the first migrant facility for children, opens under Biden, but this is the exact same place that they showed a year and a half ago as viewing the U.S. border cells derided as cages. Central American officials pledge more. It's just interesting how our media presents things today. And I think this is a good example of how we have to be very careful about what we hear and how we interpret it. And I just think that we just have to do our part as citizens today to really look for the story behind the story. The fact is that the border situation is ugly and there's just not a good answer. I mean, I just think if we could just come to that conclusion on both sides of the aisle and say, we don't have a good answer and this is ugly. So let's try to put our heads together and find an answer together. Because no matter what, it's back to the election fraud thing. The Democrats say the Republicans cheated. It's back and forth. Why can't we just say we got a common problem here? What do we do about this whole thing?
And that's a good question, because I understand that government wants to divide the American people in order to retain power. I don't understand how the extent, like they all seem bought into the same division, absolutely literally amongst themselves.
They sure do. It's almost like against their religion to be friends with somebody on the other side of the aisle.
Absolutely.
Or say something positive about those people.
They politicize every damn thing as much as
really
the media does. Yeah.
They seem to be partners in crime on that whole thing, right? Like they're both sides are doing it. I mean, it's they're terrible. I mean, I used to think I wanted to be in politics, but man, I don't want to be around all those jerks.
Well, look at like someone like Trey Gowdy. Such a level-headed, clear-thinking guy. He's like, I'm out of here, man.
I don't blame him.
Yeah, I mean, you guys are nuts.
It was like every day you got to come in and just be angry and yelling and all that kind of stuff. The guy is a great trial attorney.
Yeah, I mean, just dealing with complete stupidity the whole way. How
I got a good one.
Go ahead.
Maxine Waters, she's on the finance. She's heading the finance committee. And a question from her was, how come people investing in the stock market, how come they don't get a refund if the stock loses money?
What?
Okay, you're in charge of the finance committee, and so the stock company has got to give you a refund if they lose. Like, here's your money back.
Like going to Vegas, and every time you lose, I want my money back. Yeah. Oh, I won that time. Give me.
I saw another one with Sheila Jackson Lee. I think that's her name. Yeah, she's a congresswoman from Texas. And she's just not the sharpest knife in the drawer. And she's got this new gun control bill. That's a big thing that's coming down too, is gun control. And we'll definitely be talking about this. But she was talking about the fact that nobody needs to have these AR-15s. And so she talks about, I wish I had one in front of me right now, because like when you pick it up, it's like carrying 10 boxes. And these things have 50 caliber ammunition in them, and nobody needs that kind of stuff. And we're going to get rid of these things. And it was just like, okay, first off, AR-15s aren't heavier than 10 boxes, and they don't use 50 caliber ammunition. Okay, so if you've ever
she
seen,
thinks it stands for assault rifle too.
Yeah, she's saying it's an assault rifle, but a 50 caliber round is like that big. Like, this is like something that like the helicopters, they use those things. Like, there's no gun like that. That thing would, if you shot a gun with a 50 caliber, man, that thing would blow you into the next room, Yeah. But here's somebody that doesn't know anything about the subject whatsoever, yet she's got power to control. I don't understand how people that don't know anything, like Maxine Waters obviously doesn't know anything about finances. She knows, and Sheila Jackson Lee knows nothing about guns, yet these people are in charge of our lives in those areas.
It's unbelievable. I had a question I wanted to pose to you, and it said, this was not from anything I read. It was, again, just something I was thinking about is I see all the weirdness unfold. Remember that movie we both saw? We talked about a few weeks ago, The Hunt.
Yes.
Remember how they characterized conservatives and how they characterized liberals?
Yes.
Oh God, that was, I watched it again.
Yeah.
My question for you is, liberal elites, when did the switch take place? Because I grew up thinking that the Dems used to be, and I'm a registered Democrat, by the way, just because I don't know how to change that. But I grew up thinking that the Democrats were of the unions and the working class.
They were.
Republicans were the rich, white collar business people. And now the right is seen as beer drinking hicks, and the Dems are in the ivory tower elites. When did this switch take place?
That's a great question, Barry. I honestly can't answer that question, because I think it's a perception that is out there. Let's say the Democratic elite. When did they? Because it's really two different questions, right? When did they make the switch to not supporting the unions and not supporting the worker? What's interesting? They say they do. The unions actually support the heck out of them. They pump all their money into the Democratic Party, yet the Democratic Party has open borders, which doesn't that affect the unions more than anything else?
Great point.
So it's hard to understand. And so why would the unions, if they're seeing that happen, why would they put a whole bunch of money into that whole thing? It's a big mystery as far as I'm concerned. It feels like they don't actually support the working man, and at the same time they say that they do, and the working man constantly seems to be supporting the Democrats.
I got the perfect figurehead of the Democratic Party, Bruce Springsteen.
Go ahead.
He goes and dresses up like he's homeless and everything all the time. He plays that role, and yet his entire life he's been a very, very rich, privileged rock star.
Yes.
And he's big Democrat. Do you
I'm
hear,
seeing the same thing. I'm
do you
seeing
hear
the
about
same
him
thing.
and Obama
No.
doing a podcast?
Oh, I did hear that.
Oh.
That's all I heard was they were going to do a podcast together.
I think it's a 8-episode mini series. I commented on that at the bottom of that article, and I said, I think I'll stay at home and hit myself in the shin with a hammer. That'd be less painful.
Can't imagine watching that. I mean, I'm not a big Bruce Springsteen fan. I don't know anything about his politics or anything like that. Obviously, he's into politics if he's going to do a podcast with Obama, but I don't have any opinion on that. I just it just seems like anything Obama gets into these days is disruptive. Yeah, and I don't know. I'm not a fan, but obviously you knew that.
Yeah, right.
But God bless him. I hope that he and his family do well.
Yeah. So, anyways, I think it's worth keeping in the back of our minds here is that whole perception is completely shifted in our lifetimes. The Democrats are now considered the ivory tower elitists, and the Republicans are beer drinking hicks that are.
Oh, I didn't address that part, the beer drinking hicks part, because. You know what you have down in the South. I think that's actually a big part of this is what's happened to the South, because the South used to be all Democrat, and now they're Republican. And a lot of people have said that, oh, well, this is evidence that there was a switch between the Republican and the Democrat Party, and that really the Democrats of the Civil War era are now the Republicans and vice versa, but that is not true. There's really no evidence to support that at all.
But if you're a Democrat, you would sure want to believe that. You would back up.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I want to come back to that, because there's something in the stimulus bill that they're proposing that's very interesting about the Democrats and the history of the Democrats. But anyway, getting back to the South, is that the South started to make a switch because they were starting to come back economically. And and of course, the Republican Party supports business. The Democratic Party obviously does not. They're not a big business supporter.
A big government supporter.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And so that's really what happened to the South. The South started to move to become Republican because of the economic policies of the Republican Party. Of course, the Democrats hated that. And back in the 70s, early 70s, during the Nixon administration, that's when this started to change, because Nixon actually targeted the South with these economic policies, and it worked. Well, the Democrat strategy was to demonize the South and make it look like the sins of the South were now really the Republican Party, and that now have put that caricature face on the Republican Party as a result. That's when that whole thing started to switch. And that's what we're seeing today. It's a very interesting thing. And I think the Democrats really would love to be able to hide that under the rug. Let me just go to the stimulus plan. Inside of the stimulus plan is about $150 million out of that $2 trillion to remove Civil War statues. Think about that. The stimulus bill is for COVID-19, but there's $150 million in it to remove statues, Civil War statues. And let's remember that the Civil War statues were Democrats. So, they don't want you to know this. Apparently that's what's going on here.
I don't know. It should be illegal to backload all these bills the way they do.
I know, right? Well, how could that? I mean, they're pressuring. Oh, we got to get this passed. Well, there's a lot of spending. A big portion of the spending won't even happen for another year. So what's the rush? And I just feel like we're being played on these kinds of things when you add it. We went over the last stimulus and what was all this crap that was in there for other countries and everything. And we're doing the same thing again here. And it's like, when do we get to the point where everyone just says, we don't trust anything anybody is doing or saying over there, and we demand the truth? Right. when are we going to get to that place? Because I think, you and I have pointed this out. You've pointed it out pretty eloquently that it's the division that keeps us from really moving ahead as a country. And if we could just put away our tribalism, we could lock arms and just move forward.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know. I maybe put a little bit of hope in the whole AI thing that maybe if we can, not only that, but Generation Z, if we can get ourselves out of the way soon enough, and maybe Generation Z has got their crap more together than the rest of us. And,
help us, Generation Z. You're our only hope.
and AI.
Hey, how about Fauci? How about Cuomo and everything that's happening? Even AOC now wants this guy investigated.
Really? Now she's got to watch herself. She's going to end up getting herself investigated one of these times. They're going to find out how dumb she is. But yeah, Cuomo, I don't know. I think that he's done.
Do you?
I think it was last podcast though. I said, what is with the New York voters, the people that they put in office? And
de Blasio and Cuomo, gosh,
and AOC
and AOC,
second time around. I mean,
yeah.
Hey, but in California, you can stay claim to Newsom over there, and
we got
AOC
one.
And
yeah, but so now Cuomo's got this aide coming forward saying that she's accusing him of sexual harassment, saying that he has implemented a whole environment of sexism, and he asked her to play strip poker with her, all this kind of stuff. So yeah, this is all coming up now in a much more detailed way. And the Republicans are trying to subpoena him to bring him in front of Congress. I read a really interesting article that was comparing Governor DeSantis down in Florida to Andrew Cuomo. And remember in the springtime when DeSantis was under attack, they were by the press, and they were saying he's putting all these elderly people in danger. And then a whistleblower came out and said that he was fudging the numbers on the elderly deaths due to COVID. At the same time, they were praising Cuomo and how great a job he was doing. And it turns out that everything they were accusing DeSantis of, it looks like Cuomo was actually doing. Cuomo's got the number one death toll of any state. Florida's right in the middle. They're like 27 right now. And so it's pretty interesting how this whole thing is gone. And I'm just wondering, will Cuomo become accountable for this or not?
Who knows? Who knows with that party? It's one thing when you get propped up as their next hero, you better watch yourself. It reminds me of Michael Avenatti, who they were going to have him run for president.
He was going to run for president, exactly, and then he ends up in prison.
Right.
Well, it is an interesting time when we take a look at all these things that are going on here, and what people are able to get away with and not get away with, and how the news covers it as well. I heard that when this whole thing came up with the sexual harassment, of course, mainstream media has stayed away from it. That the ABC, CBS, NBC, they didn't report on it at all.
Just talking about all this, how we laugh about it and all, it's cancel culture. And I remember seeing something somewhere this past week, the discussion of how important is cancel culture, and it was taken rather lightly. And I got to tell you, it's not far from murder to me when you destroy someone's life. I mean, for the rest of their lives, they, now their career is done. And, I say this with complete compassion, but I've always thought of rape that way too, it should be, it may be worse than murder because you really destroy someone's life for all the years to come.
That's true. That's exactly right.
Culture is the same damn thing. It should not be taken lightly.
I totally agree. Like the fact that you could just ruin somebody's life like this forever. is like a death.
Yeah.
And so I couldn't agree with you more. And it should actually be taken extremely seriously.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, a lot of stuff, man. A lot of stuff going on. It's we have to really work on staying positive as we're seeing all of these things. And I really believe this, that it comes down to this. We can watch the news and see all these terrible things that are happening, but can we really impact all of those things? I think, if we take a look around our neighborhood or just look at our neighbors and just focus on what's around us, what's in front of us, and just love the people that are around us, that's actually what's going to change the world. That's what we can do. That's how we can help. I mean, we think too much about, I personally think we think too much about ourselves. And that causes us to become offended very easily. And we live in this whole offense culture. And
we get positive reinforcement.
And we do, don't we?
Yeah,
we really
do. Yeah.
We need to get over ourselves and make fun of ourselves more.
We really do. There's nothing that people get more endeared to than self-deprecating humor, because it makes us all feel better about ourselves.
And when we really think about it, or actually when I think about myself, sometimes I'm just ridiculous. I crack myself up, just that the silly things that I sometimes stumble into, or some of the mistakes I make, or I trip and fall, or whatever, I'm funny to me.
Well, I think you're really good. I think you're a good example of that. I keep looking at this in my notes about the Washington football team. Actually, their top 3 names, one is rhinos. I cannot believe that.
How could that even be a choice?
That shows you the stupidity that's going on in our state's capital.
There really is. I mean, it's
Rhinos.
really something. Rhinos. Come on. You silly people.
All right.
Hey, how about, did you hear about this 9/11 style commission that Nancy Pelosi's putting together for the January 6th thing?
Somehow sounds a little familiar. Go
Yeah.
ahead.
So apparently the guy that she chose to head the whole thing is an anti-Trumper who has said some really disparaging things about people that support Trump or have supported Trump.
I just had a thought that it's been nearly 2 hours you and I have been talking. I think that's the first time his name came up, and I was proud of that. I just noticed it.
How about that?
Yeah.
It's
a day and age where you can't get away from his name.
Somebody was talking, and I'm trying to remember who it was, about a big mistake that the conservatives made was making their whole movement around one person, Donald Trump. And how easy is it to bring down one guy to ruin a whole movement, rather than spreading it out? And the movement shouldn't be about one. If it's really about liberty and freedom, it shouldn't be Trump's name. It should be the opposite of that.
I think that came from the Democrats. I think it's the Democrats that anointed him as the statue of hate, a symbol of hate.
Well, that was a great strategy.
Yeah.
It worked. I mean, it
but that's why
worked.
CNN cannot stop talking about them too, because they're still feeding. They got, it's ratings.
They got nothing outside of Trump, right? Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the thing, is that if we've got to bring it away from, if I say I'm a conservative, we got to bring it away from Trump. It's not about Trump. The whole thing is not about Trump. It's about liberty. It's about freedom. It's about what the Constitution stands for. And we got to get back to that and talk about that.
No,
meanwhile, they had this, there is an investigation going on. Apparently they had this guy that was in charge of the Capitol Police brought up in front of Congress this week, and he was talking. I don't know if you had a chance to see that or not.
No.
Did you hear? I'm trying to find my artical on that. No, I'm having a hard time.
How about that dog sledding? Wasn't that the wildest thing?
You know what? How does a dog, how did that dog learn that? I mean,
it's one thing to learn it, but to me, the most impressive thing is he knows how to have fun.
He's just doing that just to enjoy himself.
Yeah. Yeah. That was so cool.
That is cool. Animals.
Because when I watched him go down and it looked like he was going to hit that shed, he knew he wasn't going to hit that shed. Like you said, it looks like he kind of turned it to the left a little bit.
Yeah. What? Hey, when have you? I mean, I remember living in Ohio. One of my favorite things to do, and I only did it a couple of times, was to go to Virginia Kendall Park, where those big hills are, and go sledding down those hills. Have you done that at all? Like sledding or anything?
Not
like
in a few years, but did you ever go to those Strongsville toboggan sleds?
No, I heard about it though.
Yeah,
I always
that's
wanted
fun.
to do that.
Yeah,
that
it's
sounds really fun.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I haven't done that in years.
Yeah. My brother-in-law has a pretty big property, and he's got woods and trails and stuff like that in his property. And they made like it was almost like a toboggan run, and it goes for a long way too down this trail. And
Yeah.
they've got a little boy, he's 6 years old, and they get on that thing and they take videos of themselves going down. It's really cool looking.
That's cool.
Yeah. That's one thing that winter offers, but since even though when I lived there, I only did it once every 5 or 6 years. Not worth it.
No, but as you were talking about it, I hadn't thought about it in so long. Now it's like, man, when I get back from Florida, I got to think about if I get a chance to go do some sled riding somewhere. I would like to do. Nobody's ever had a bad time sled riding.
No, I've never heard of it.
And you come back, you're hungry as hell because you burn. I mean,
going up and down that hill. Right, exactly.
Yeah, it sounds like fun. Yeah.
The last time I went, I remember just, oh man, it was such a blast. And a friend of mine had a toboggan, and we were going down we went over this jump, and man, it was just amazing. Yeah. Like 4 of us were on this thing, and we were just flying, and we crashed into a hay bale at the end. That was a little dramatic.
Oh, you got me going though. That does sound like fun. I'm trying to think of who I could recruit, and all you need is a piece of plastic. It's like, well, where do I get a sled? I don't have a sled.
Right.
You know, I
make a sled.
Friends.
Get out there. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
I got to see.
Fun.
You got to take some video if you do this.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping that now, because he kind of called on a heat wave to happen in your hometown when you came back. So I hope all the snow doesn't melt. And it's
it'll be gone when we get back. But you know, it's March, so who
exactly.
knows? Yeah,
in like a lion and out like a lamb.
Right. Yes.
Wow. Can you believe? I mean, we're looking at the end of winter here.
Yeah, already. I mean, it went by fast in some ways, and other ways because of COVID. Everything always comes back to COVID. In that way, it's drug, because I can't say that we did much of anything, you know,
I hear
for the
you.
last year. Bike riding last year was so uneventful. My favorite place, East 55th Street Marina, wasn't open. And
that's too bad.
Yeah. So I need normalcy. So Florida's going to feel pretty normal. Like
I'm
everything's
real
all
happy for you.
open. Yeah, thanks.
Yeah,
Everything's all. I'll call you from there. Probably do a
Excellent.
FaceTime with you so you could feel you could partake a little bit.
That sounds great, man. I hope that you guys have a great time over there, and lots of rest and relaxation and everything. That sounds great.
Yeah, I can't wait. All right, dude.
Let's wrap it.
Yeah. All right.
All right.
I
Enjoy
will
your
call
trip
you from there. All right, buddy.
Yep. All
Love
right.
you.
Later. Love you too, man.